I'm a senior data analyst, and my life was finally going perfectly. I had just bought a small condo, and I was about to be promoted to a role I'd been working toward for years. I was in a great place, personally and professionally, until one phone call changed everything. This isn't a story about a bad breakup or a family falling apart. This is a story about a betrayal that hit me when I least expected it, a betrayal that came with a chilling warning. Before this story unfolds, I'd love to connect with you. Please let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is in your corner of the world. It's amazing to see how far these stories can travel. It had been a brutal 6 months of late nights and early mornings. I was leading the team that developed a new algorithm for our e-commerce platform, a project personally overseen by Mr. Harrison, the CEO. We hit every milestone, exceeded every expectation, and the algorithm was a complete success, boosting sales by 15%. My boss, Mr. Harrison, a man I deeply respected, called me into his office to congratulate me. "Chloe," he said, a warm smile on his face, "what you and your team have done is exceptional. This algorithm is going to be the new cornerstone of our business. As a token of our appreciation, your salary will be increased by 20% starting next month." I was stunned. A 20% raise was unheard of in our company. "Thank you so much, sir," I stammered, my heart pounding. "This means a lot." "You've more than earned it," he replied. "And I'm not stopping there. I'm going to recommend you for the new Director of Analytics position that's opening up. The board is meeting next week to approve it. You've proven you have the vision and the drive to lead. This company needs more people like you." He shook my hand, and I walked out of his office on cloud 9. I immediately called my parents to share the good news. I felt like I was on top of the world. The raise was a great reward for my hard work, and the potential promotion was a dream come true. I had finally proven myself. My future was secure. Little did I know, that future was about to be ripped away by the one person I thought I could trust. I spent the next few days in a fog of disbelief and anger. I replayed the conversation with Lucas over and over in my head. His words, a glitch in the system, kept ringing in my ears. He didn't just fire me, he dismantled my professional reputation with a single conversation. He told me my work was a complete failure, riddled with security flaws. It was a lie, a cruel and calculated one. I needed to clear my name. But how? My company laptop had been wiped clean, and my network access had been revoked. I couldn't prove anything. I felt helpless. Then, a thought occurred to me. The IT department. I had been good friends with the IT manager, Mark, since I first started at the company. He was a smart, quiet guy who kept to himself but was always willing to help. I reached out to him, and we agreed to meet for coffee. Mark was surprised to hear about my firing. "I can't believe it, Chloe. You were one of the best people we had. What happened?" I explained everything, from Mr. Harrison's praise to Lucas's cruel firing. I told him about the security flaws Lucas had claimed were in my algorithm. Mark looked thoughtful. "That's strange," he said. "I remember the code. It was a masterpiece. I went over it myself to make sure it was clean. There wasn't a single flaw in it." "Exactly," I said, my voice rising. "He was just lying to me. He wanted to get rid of me, and he used a fake reason." "Maybe," Mark said, taking a sip of his coffee. "But something feels off. Lucas had me go over your project files right before you were let go. He said he needed to make a few small changes before it went live. He was very specific about the files he needed. It was odd." "What kind of changes?" I asked. He didn't say. He just told me to give him full admin access to the project's files. It's unusual, but he's the VP, so I couldn't say no. My heart began to pound. Mark, what if he didn't just lie to me? What if he intentionally sabotaged my work? Mark's eyes widened. That would be a career-ending move. He would have to be insane to do something like that. He wouldn't have to be insane if he never thought anyone would find out, I said. He had me fired and erased the paper trail. He's going to take all the credit for the algorithm while I sit here, unemployed, with a ruined reputation. Please, Mark, can you check the system logs? Is there any way to see what he did? Mark shook his head slowly. The project files are backed up every night, but I can't access them without a signed request from a senior executive. And after this, I'm not sure I want to put my neck on the line for something like this. Mark, I pleaded, you're the only person who can help me. I know you saw the real code. You know it was good. If he gets away with this, he'll do it to someone else. He'll ruin people's lives just to get ahead. Please, can you just look? He sighed, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. Okay, but if I do this, it's a massive risk for both of us. It would have to be very subtle. If he finds out, we're both done. I know, I said. And I would never ask you to do it if there were any other way. But there isn't. He finally nodded. Okay. I'll get back to you. Don't call me. I'll call you. I knew I couldn't just walk into Mr. Harrison's office and show him the thumb drive. That would be too risky. Lucas had already poisoned the well, and he was his son. I had to be careful. I had to get Mr. Harrison to trust me again. I had to make him see with his own eyes that Lucas had sabotaged my work. I spent the next 2 days crafting a plan. It had to be precise, and it had to be subtle. I didn't want to just expose Lucas, I wanted to dismantle his credibility and his position within the company. I couldn't just have him fired. I had to make sure he was held accountable for what he had done. My plan was simple but bold. I was going to use the company's annual board meeting as a stage for my revenge. The board meeting was a huge event, and Mr. Harrison always made a point of live streaming it to the entire company. It was his way of promoting transparency and keeping everyone in the loop. I called Mark. I have a plan, but I'm going to need your help. I'm listening, he said. The board meeting is in 2 days, and Mr. Harrison always live streams it to the entire company. I want you to hack into the system and pull up the project's data, but not the final project. I want you to pull up the original, clean data. You have to make it look like a technical glitch, a random error. Something that would appear on the screen for only a few seconds. The screen will be visible to Mr. Harrison and the board. Mark was silent for a long moment. Are you sure? This is insane. You're going to put my job, my career, on the line. What if I can't do it? You can, I said, my voice shaking with determination. I know you can. You're a genius, Mark. You're the best IT guy in that company. You're the only one who can pull this off. I could hear him sigh on the other end of the line. Okay, but if this goes south, I'm blaming you. I know, I said. But it won't go south. This is going to work. Trust me. I hung up the phone and walked to my desk. I pulled out a fresh sheet of paper and began to write down my script. It had to be perfect. The timing had to be impeccable. The plan was a risky one, but I had no other choice. This wasn't just about getting my job back. It was about proving to everyone that my work was worth more than Lucas's arrogance and that the truth would always find its way out. 2 days later, I was sitting at home, glued to my laptop, watching the live stream of the company's annual board meeting. I watched as Mr. Harrison, looking proud and confident, took the stage. Good morning, everyone, he began. I have a very important announcement to make. As you know, we've been working on a new e-commerce algorithm. My son, Lucas, has taken charge of the project, and I'm proud to say it's been a complete success. Thanks to him, we're on track for a record-breaking quarter. I clenched my fists. The audacity. He was taking full credit for my work, right in front of the entire company. I looked at my phone and saw a text from Mark. Ready. Now, let's take a look at the data, Mr. Harrison continued. Lucas, would you mind bringing up the final report? Lucas, as looking as smug as ever, walked to the podium and pulled up the report. The screen behind him showed a perfectly clean, flawless report. He began to explain the data, his voice full of pride. Suddenly, the screen flickered. A second later, a new screen appeared. It was the original data, the one before Lucas tampered with it. There were no errors, no security flaws. It was a perfectly clean, perfectly functioning algorithm. Then, the screen flickered again, and a new window appeared. This one showed the server logs. It showed Lucas's user account, the time and date he had made the changes, and the exact lines of code he had inserted. It was a smoking gun. Lucas froze. He stared at the screen, his face draining of all color. He frantically clicked buttons on his computer, but the screen wouldn't change. Mr. Harrison stared at the screen in disbelief. The board members in the audience started to whisper. Lucas? Mr. Harrison's voice was low, his face a mask of confusion. What is this? Lucas couldn't speak. He just stared at the screen, his jaw hanging open. He was a deer in headlights. The silence in the room was deafening. He knew he had been caught. He knew he was done. Then, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I answered it. Chloe, a voice said, filled with a mix of panic and anger. I know it was you. You did this. You set me up. It was Lucas. You're a disgrace, he said. You're a nobody. You have no idea what you've done. I think I do, Lucas, I said, my voice steady. I got my job back, and you can keep your raise. The gift is on me. I hung up the phone and turned back to the screen. Mr. Harrison was standing beside Lucas, his face a mixture of shock, rage, and shame. I want you to leave. Now. We will discuss this later. Lucas, looking utterly defeated, walked out of the room. Mr. Harrison was left alone on the stage, his head bowed. He knew he had been fooled. He knew he had made a mistake. He had given his son the company, and his son had almost destroyed it. A few hours later, my phone rang again. It was Mr. Harrison. Chloe, he said, his voice quiet. I want to apologize. I have no excuse for what happened. I should have never trusted my son. I should have trusted you. I appreciate that, sir, I said. But what about my job? I would be honored to have you back, he said. Your raise is still valid, and the Director of Analytics position is yours if you want it. And I'll personally make sure Lucas never sets foot in this company again. I thought for a moment. He was a good man, and he had made a mistake. He was willing to admit it. That meant something. I'll take it, I said. But on one condition. Anything you want, he said. I want Lucas to be publicly reprimanded. I want everyone in the company to know what he did. I want him to be held accountable. And I want to work with you to implement new security measures, so something like this never happens again. He agreed, and 2 days later, he sent out an all-hands email, detailing what Lucas had done and how he was being held accountable. He publicly apologized to me and gave me the Director of Analytics position. My career was back on track, and this time, it was on my terms. I didn't get my revenge by hurting him back, but by doing the right thing. I did it by revealing the truth, by proving that my hard work and integrity were worth more than his father's love. In the end, I got my job back, a promotion, and the respect of my colleagues. And Lucas? He got what he deserved, a life ruined by his own arrogance. It was the best revenge I could have ever asked for. It was a gift.